What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. And tonight we gotta talk about Zachary Wester, a sheriff's deputy who used his badge like a weapon and used his power like a license to destroy anybody he wanted. A man who made himself every person's worst nightmare with a smile on his face and the body cam he thought would never catch him slipping. And let me tell you something right now. There is nothing more terrifying than a police officer who don't just abuse his power, but abuses it with confidence. A police officer who lies like he breathing, who fabricates evidence like it's part of his uniform, who destroys lives like it's just another day at work. We grew up fearing cops who profile us. We grew up fearing cops who follow us. But this one planted drugs on people who never had a chance. This one put meth in cup holders, stuck baggies in truck doors, dropped evidence on the floor, and then locked people up for drugs he put there himself. This wasn't just corruption. This was evil.
This is 30-year-old Zachary Wester, a dirty deputy formerly employed in North Florida. He's been convicted of an array of charges, including planting drugs on innocent drivers, about 67 counts of racketeering, official gross misconduct, false imprisonment, and possession of controlled substances. His crimes originated from routine traffic stops that began with minor traffic transgressions, but unfortunately ended up with innocent people going to jail on fake drug charges, including possession of meth, which was planted by Webster himself. Many of the victims saw their lives crumble as a result. The prosecution made use of Webster's own body cam videos to incriminate him, as well as other pieces of evidence, including a secret stash of ready-to-plant evidence in the trunk of his patrol car. As far as what his motives were, the prosecution claims he was an ambitious officer who wanted to move higher up in the hierarchy to the narcotics division, but he vehemently testified that he had no involvement in planting drugs in any of the victims' cars.
Was there ever anything other than that bag, same bag, being palmed in your hand that you later put in your purse and acted like you found out of that purse?
Okay, so what you just presented to this jury is absolutely absurd and not factual at all.
Wester was sentenced to 12 years and 6 months in prison.
He ruined nearly 120 lives. Let that number sink in for a minute. 120 human beings had their name dragged through the mud by this man. 120 families had to watch someone they love get locked up over a lie. And I'm not talking about people with power and money who could fight back. I'm talking about regular people just trying to get through the day without losing everything they have. People who got pulled over for broken taillights, turning late, driving too slow. Little things that turned into handcuffs. Little things that turned into mugshots. Little things that turn into criminal records that can follow you for the rest of your life. That's what makes his story so sickening. It was never about crime. It was about control. And the part that makes my stomach turn is this. He was good at it. He knew body cam blind spots like the back of his hand. He knew when to turn away. He knew when to pretend like he was reaching for something else. He knew how to smile through the script. He knew how to sound calm enough to make a judge believe him. And that right there is the most terrifying part of all of this. When a cop is abusing you, you expect fear. But when a cop is lying to you with a smile, when a cop is calm while he destroy your life, that's a different kind of nightmare. That's a different kind of wickedness. And let's be honest, this ain't started with him. This ain't started in 2017. This ain't started with Jackson County Sheriff's Office. This is a playbook passed down through decades of bad policing, decades of dirty tactics, decades of people getting away with the same thing and never getting caught. The only difference is this. Wester got sloppy. Wester forgot the camera was rolling. Wester didn't know that one prosecutor was about to notice his lies didn't match the footage. He didn't know that real investigators were coming for him like a freight train. And when they finally caught him, he did what dirty cops always do. He lied. He swore he was set up. He swore he had no idea how those drugs got there. He swore he was just doing his job. And this is what makes people so angry. This is what makes communities lose trust and never get it back. Not just the crime, but the audacity to look a courtroom full of people in the eyes and say, it wasn't me, when everybody just watched you do it on camera. This is the type of betrayal that does not wash out of a community. Because when a regular person commits a crime, they get locked up and forgotten. But when a cop commits a crime, the system adjusts itself to protect them. They moved him to an out-of-state prison for his safety. They overturned his RICO conviction on a technicality. They are still arguing about his charges years later, while his victims are still rebuilding what he took from them. This is the reality of justice in America, y'all. It ain't designed to be fair. It's designed to protect itself. And what blows my mind is this. Even after everything, he still won't take responsibility. He still won't admit what we saw with our own eyes. That's what makes this story so painful. If a cop can be caught on video planting drugs and still claim he's innocent, what does that say about the system? What does that say about every person who ever got pulled over by a cop like Wester and didn't have a camera around? Because Zachary Wester is not an anomaly. He's just the one who got caught. For every one of him, there are 10 more who know the game, know the loops, know the blind spots, know how to walk away clean. And that's why this story matters so much tonight. Not because he was the worst, but because he was the one who got exposed. This is where the story gets darker, because it forces us to look at something we hate to admit. Zachary Wester was not just one bad cop. He was the blueprint of a system that's been failing people long before his name ever hit a headline. And when you look at what he did, you realize he wasn't just operating in a vacuum. He was operating in an environment where he felt safe, protected, and untouchable enough to plant drugs like he was watering his lawn. Think about the level of confidence it takes to do that. Not once, but dozens and dozens of times. Think about how many shift meetings he walked into with a straight face. How many times he wrote fake reports knowing nobody would question him. Think about how many prosecutors trusted his word without ever questioning his video. Think about how many judges signed warrants, approved sentences, and never once wondered, is this man lying? This ain't just about him. This is about a system who believed him before they believed the people he destroyed. Because it's easy to call him a rogue cop, but the truth is harder. He only existed because the system gave him room. Every time he planted drugs, somebody had to sign off on that report. Every time he arrested an innocent person, somebody had to process them. Every time someone got thrown in a cell, there were 5 other hands involved in the paperwork. And you don't get away with that many lies unless a whole lot of people around you ain't paying attention or don't want to. What makes this worse is the people he targeted. Regular, everyday people. People who did not have lawyers on speed dial. People who couldn't afford to miss work. People who couldn't spend months proving they were innocent of something they never did. And the worst part, a lot of them never got their lives back. Some of them lost years, some of them lost family, jobs, some of them lost everything. And when the truth came out, the system said, my bad, and just kept it moving. This is the kind of damage you can't put a price tag on. This is the kind of damage you can't fix with a settlement check. Imagine being pulled over for a broken brake light and walking away with a felony. Imagine trying to tell the court that you never touched drugs a day in your life, and they look at you like you lying. Imagine sitting in the courtroom knowing the officer who arrested you has a badge, a gun, and a whole system ready to believe him over you. Imagine losing years because someone in uniform decided he needed another arrest so it looked good on paper. This is why this story cut deep. This ain't just about one officer. This is about the fear that lives in every person praying they don't get stopped by a cop like this. Because when a cop can plant drugs and get away with it for a year, you realize just how fragile your freedom really is. You realize that at any moment in your life can change because somebody in a badge can plant drugs in your car. And when the court finally caught him, when they finally put him on trial, you would think that would be the end of the story. But even after he was convicted on 19 counts, even after they exposed his pattern of lies, even after they saw the footage with their own eyes, he still had the nerve to pretend like he was the victim. He still had the nerve to act like the system did him wrong. And then an appeals court overturned one of his biggest convictions. Not because he was innocent, but because they said he acted alone. As if that makes the damage any less real. As if a technicality makes 120 people whole again. This is what we talk about when we say the system is broken. It's designed that way. It knows how to protect its own. But let me tell you something. When you have a cop like Wester, you have a mirror that shows you everything wrong about how power works. He is the worst fear of every person who's ever been profiled, targeted, or treated like they don't matter. A cop who can ruin your life and walk away with a smile. A cop who can look at your suffering and still say he did nothing wrong. And that's why this story matters. Because as long as there are cops like him in the system, and there are, we can't stop talking about it. We can't pretend this was an isolated incident. We can't act like accountability is the same for everybody. We can't pretend everybody who puts on that uniform uses it the right way. We have to face the truth. The justice system don't just fail us by accident. Sometimes it fails us by design. And until we fix the design, we will keep seeing more men like Wester, more lives destroyed, and more families picking up the pieces they never should have had to touch. This is why I tell these stories. This is why I put the spotlight on these cases. This is why I refuse to let these moments get buried. Somebody else is going to get pulled over tomorrow. Someone else is going to meet an officer with too much power and not enough morality. So let this story be more than a headline. Let it be a warning, because Zachary Wester may be in prison, but the system that made him possible is still out there. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe, establish rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.